Izzy here, and I remember a time not long ago when my Sundays were dictated by scripture, my beliefs by dogma, and my spiritual world felt incredibly small. Every prayer was structured, every doubt suppressed. Then something shifted. For me, it was the quiet pull towards my ancestors. For Sarah, it was the undeniable call of intuition, guiding her away from the familiar and into the unknown. We both ended up in places we never expected, trading hymns for hexes and sermons for spirit work.
Welcome to Just Another Statistic, hosted by Sarah and Izzy. This is where we lay bare our deconstruction from Christianity and our vibrant, sometimes challenging transition into witchcraft and personal spirituality. We're here to share the blueprint of our spiritual rebuilding, one honest conversation at a time. Whether you're someone who diligently attended church for decades, or you've always felt a magnetic pull to something other, this podcast is for you. We'll explore the hows and whys of our journey, discussing everything from finding new community to understanding ancient practices and navigating family dynamics. Our goal is to connect through our stories, while we acknowledge that our paths are unique. The quest for authentic spirituality is a universal human experience. Join us as we explore the rich tapestry of spirituality beyond the statistic.
Before we begin, we want to share a brief but important note. To protect the privacy and identities of everyone involved, we will not be using the real names of people or churches in our stories. And we also want to acknowledge that every story has at least two sides, and what you're about to hear is simply our story, sharing our experiences from our unique perspective. We've dedicated a lot of time to healing from these experiences, and we'll continue this journey. And we sincerely wish nothing but love and light for all the individuals whose paths have intersected with ours.
Okay. All right. Here we go again.
Yes. Bear with us. We are both exhausted. It has been an exhausting couple of weeks of just work.
Life.
Life. And it was daylight savings the other day, and that messed us up. So
totally screwed up my entire schedule. So Here we go.
Yeah. So today we're talking a little more specifically about the friends that we've lost. For the most part, I mean, you guys have really kind of heard the story of how things had ended, but we're just going to kind of dive into that specifically a little more, and the healing process for both of us in it. And yeah, so I don't know, do you have anything to say before we start?
Not really. This is I think for anybody that is going through this journey, it's going to feel lonely, and you're not alone, and you can make it through this. This is a testament to that. But this first part it's rough.
Yeah.
Be expectant of losing some people.
Yeah. So I want to just start by talking about how central Christianity was to these relationships. Do you want to touch on that first?
For both of us, church was one of, if not the main hub of social interaction. On multiple levels, not just friendships like peer-to-peer, but also from older generation, younger generation, from our generation to the younger generation. It was the place where we interacted with people the most. I think secondly would be our jobs.
Yeah.
But church was most definitely supposed to be the safe space where we were able to grow relationships with people who thought like-mindedly, lived like-minded, or lived like each
we
other.
We all had the appearance of living the same way.
That. But it was like on a tightrope. You stray one way or another and everything implodes.
Yeah, which I don't think either of us really understood how fragile the balance was.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people do like have friends outside of Christianity. I know I did. I know Sarah has had friends outside of Christianity. And so I think we thought that maybe when we left that there would be some distance, but it wouldn't be a full-on rejection because they tolerated other people who weren't Christians. But I don't know, I think just us questioning everything and being like, this doesn't make sense. Answer this. I can't answer this. Can you answer this? Challenge them in their own faith, which is what is really uncomfortable, especially when you've grown up with it being your entire belief system, then having to be like, oh, this doesn't make sense and reject that belief system is really scary for people. So I think more than anything, a lot of the relationships ended because we mirrored their own fears back to them. But yeah, I remember like telling Sweet Pea when we left, I don't go to church on Sundays, and that's the only place we ever talk. So why maintain a relationship when the thing maintaining that is gone?
And it wasn't like a malicious thing.
No.
It wasn't.
I just said, like, I don't believe the same things that you do, and I'm going to choose to live in a way that I know you're going to see as being wrong. So I just thought you would end it anyway, so I ended it. And it took her a little longer to realize that that's what was going to happen anyway, that was what she was going to choose anyway. But I don't know, maybe she thought if she stuck around, she could pull us back.
Or something. I don't know. I don't know on that one.
Yeah, I don't either.
Were there friendships formed within the church, or did faith become the core bonding agent over time?
I think for me at Mega Church number 2, those friendships were formed because of the church.
Mm-hmm.
I think me we didn't come up with a code name for her. With my Italian friend, I had a best friend from my parents' church. And we became friends and then started doing Bible studies and stuff after we were already friends. I would say that one grew closer because we decided to start doing devotions together, but that wasn't what started the relationship. Whereas everybody at Mega Church number 2, when we went from Mega Church number 2 to Christianity, was for me at least, the raft.
Most people will probably figure it out.
Have to go through and edit it all anyway. That Christianity was the catalyst for at least my relationship there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's how we started having a friendship too.
Yeah, it was most definitely church centric. If it wasn't for Mega Church number 2, I don't think we would have ever met.
Yeah.
Because we didn't run in the same circles like at all.
No.
I think there are, for the most part, the friendships there were Christian centric, and it wasn't even really a friendship at the end. It was more who could be more holier than thou looking, or, presenting that we had our lives together. And if you could find that little thing in someone else's walk or life to be like, oh, you're about to stumble.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, well, look at me, I'm doing great.
Yeah.
And, or to bring people down. That's what it became, very cliquey and very not encouraging.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I feel like what I watched with Megachurch number 2 is it started as a clique, and then when everything disbanded, I had a lot of hope for it not being that way anymore. And then, yeah, we did it anyway because we all thought we were better and we weren't. I don't know. I feel like I've never been to a church where there's not a clique, so I don't believe that it's not possible.
I haven't seen it happen.
Yeah, until I see it, I don't believe it kind of thing. Okay. How did you anticipate the decision would affect your friendships?
I didn't. I didn't think that it was going to be as big as it was.
Mm-hmm.
My entire social contact, my entire social community collapsed in making the decision to leave the church. And it wasn't even like, for me, it wasn't even like, oh, I left the church and so I get shunned.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I left the church, nobody noticed.
Yeah.
And there was nobody reached out. Nobody's, hey, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. None of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just completeless silence.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, wow, I must be important to you guys.
Yeah.
Because I haven't been to church in, what was it, like 6 months? And then I did my social media cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I haven't heard from any of you.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after the social media cleanse where people were like 2 people were like, where'd you go? But it's the fact that I went, I pulled back on social media. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't showing up in person. So was I really a friend?
Exactly. Yeah. At this time, like we still had Sugar Cube, and she had her bridal party. And I remember going into that, and that was the first time seeing a few of them. I feel like me and Sarah had our guards up. Like we kind of witched ourselves out walking into that party. And I think looking back on it now, it was a defense mechanism for both of us. Is like we were terrified walking in there, not knowing what was going to happen. And did Mr. Grace talk to you?
He tried to.
Yeah,
he approached me. I was like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm fine," and then walked away.
Yeah,
because I was like, "I'm not talking to you."
He had mentioned to me that something about my mentor worrying about me or something like that, and I was like, she still has my email, she still has my phone number, she can contact me. And I immediately knew it was just like this stupid guilt trip thing that he was trying to pull, so I kind of just ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember talking to anybody else but Sweet Pea and you at that party, though. Like the couple was there. I didn't talk to them. I remember sitting there and listening to Snack Pack and him saying stupid stuff, and
because he was engaged at that point, or about to be engaged at that point, or something.
No, they were planning the wedding.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he was saying he wasn't going to allow his fiance or her maid of honor give a speech, but his best man was allowed to make a speech. And me and Sarah audibly rolled our eyes at each other.
Literally, it was one of those where you look at your best friend when someone's saying shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, is this the same shit? Are you hearing the same shit I'm hearing?
Yeah. And then we changed tables. And this older woman who I never met before, I don't think you knew her either. Sarah had long braided hair at that point, came up behind Sarah and started touching her hair.
Which I was like,
yeah,
please don't do that thing.
But it was like the girl in the couple, she got really upset at that woman for doing that. But that's the extent of the interactions that I remember at that party. Because by that point, we've been out of the church for a minute. I feel like.
Were we? No, we left after they got married. But we were on the edge of leaving the raft
Yeah.
because that's before everything blew up with White Knight.
Wow.
But it
Okay,
was
so at this point we were still all
still,
their friends then.
yeah, but it was still very much,
But that was the vibe.
I think we were so guarded from everything that happened with Megachurch number 2, and we were witchy curious at that point. I think at that point we were getting into tarot a little bit, and we were like, let's see what this is really about. I know you were getting heavy into researching like your heritage and Norse, and like I think you had Freya. I think you had Freya already, or you were about to get Freya.
Yeah.
And I think we were collecting crystals
Yeah.
at that point, but we weren't like, and we were rolling dice. We were rolling dice to go to church to see if we were actually going to go that day. And then I think that was leading into everything blowing up.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think that was one of the first interactions where we're like, this is all fake.
Yeah.
This is all fake. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
And then after everything blew up with the White Knight, it was very much like, okay, we're done with these people.
Right.
Because yeah, I remember the bridal shower, and then we hosted her bachelorette party, which was not great.
No, it
We
makes
ended
me
up
mad
doing
thinking about it still.
We ended up doing a lot for her bachelorette party, even though we weren't. I was a bridesmaid, but I wasn't like the maid of honor or anything. And
no, because her maid of honor decided to go get married a month before her.
Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Sugar Cube was already engaged, wedding was set, everything, and her best friend decided to go get married before her, a month before her, and yeah, dropped all of her duties. But
yeah, so it was like cool. So yeah, that was that. Can you recall a specific interaction or conversation where a friend first expressed their disapproval or began to distance themselves from you?
for me, I always felt that wall between me and everybody else. And before we moved in together, like it took like real effort for me to be a part of any group, I feel like. And then after we moved in together, I felt like I was being dragged along for your sake, kind of like how my family does with you. Like for my family events, you know, all of the families get invited because all of my siblings are married and have their own families, and their families, their spouses get invited. I get an invite and I get told to bring Sarah, you know. So
Sarah's by herself, bring her.
Yeah. We kind of get shoved into this. We're in a relationship, right? We're a package deal. So that's kind of what it was. Everybody wanted her there, and that meant accepting that I had to be there too. So as far as like everybody at the raft goes, by the end of it, I was just so done trying to pretend like any of those people ever had any ounce of respect for me. Because I don't think they did. I don't think they ever did.
I agree with that. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah. My Italian friend, she didn't care until I started posting things on social media. The minute that I started posting about being a witch, and specifically it was me doing tarot readings for people on my social media, that's when she couldn't, I guess, ignore it, and it became an issue. And that blew up pretty quickly, but
Yeah, it was like a month
I mean,
max.
she did try to have a conversation with me about it, which is more than what anybody else did. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think the first conversation where I saw some like the wall, and I was no longer inside the clique, but I was outside the clique, was the couple. She came up to me and was like, "Oh, how's your walk doing? How are you doing?" And I was like, "I think I'm doing okay right now." And this was before the robberies, before anything. But stuff was iffy. But I was like, "I think I'm okay right now." And she was like, "Careful, pride comes before a fall." And I'm just like, "You asked me how I was doing."
Yeah, worry about your damn self.
And just because I say I think I'm okay, I'm doing all right now, I'm being prideful because I'm not struggling. And I think that's when it kind of switched in my head that it wasn't really about my personal walk or how I was doing, but entertainment for them.
Yeah, it was a performance.
Yeah.
How did these rejections unfold? Was it sudden or gradual? I mean, I think we answered that. I think it was pretty sudden. I think for the sake of being true Christians and really giving it a try, we tried and we put up with it for way longer than we should have, because me and Sarah didn't just decide one day to throw the Bible out of the window. Like, we had conversations for months and months and months. And when one of us would start questioning something, we would talk about it. And we didn't always agree right away. And some of those conversations were uncomfortable. But I mean, it was like months of going through and being like, hey, I don't believe this anymore.
Am I crazy?
Yeah. Or
I didn't agree with what we heard today in the pulpit.
Yeah.
What is your perspective on this? Am I just being selfish, or
right?
This I heard something that didn't click right.
Yeah. And I think that's really what gave us the strength, was that we weren't alone in this, and that we were able to talk to each other about it and go through the motions, because it was just obvious that we couldn't talk to anybody else about it. If we had brought anything up, it would have immediately, we would have been shamed or told we were sinning. And so
I feel like they got giddy when they got a chance to be like, "Oh, you're in sin."
Yeah.
And you're sinning. They got real excited about it. Yeah.
So the relationships weren't there in the beginning. They didn't have the foundation to be a gradual disappearance. It just took one puff of wind for them to collapse. But that's not like the reality of how our faith changed. That was a very slow and gradual. And I mean, it still is. Like, over the years of, even though me and Sarah have been witches for the last 5 years, that doesn't mean that we stopped believing everything. We still believe in Jesus very much.
I literally just recently had a switch.
Yeah.
From the biblical Abrahamic God, and not believing in him anymore.
I remember we would be like in the car, and I would be like, I believe that we are reincarnated and that we are reincarnating. And she was like, okay, I don't know if I'm there yet. And then a few months later, she'd be like, I'm there.
Yep, I'm there. I think that's what it is.
And then, she came in not long ago, and she was like, the God of the Old Testament wasn't the only God, and he was evil, and he deceived a whole bunch of people, and that's why they're so violent and bad. And I'm like, okay, give me a minute to chew on that.
Like, I literally was just like, and she's like, whoa, and I was like, think about it.
Yeah. So it's still ongoing. you know, for us. But I think that's the beauty of spirituality, is that nobody has the right answers.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kind of get to figure it out. And we're not sinning if we don't know the answer.
No.
If you're not 100% solid on what you believe, that's okay. And that's not anything against you as a spiritual person. So
if you're just like, I'm not sure what I believe in that area, it's fine.
cool.
Yeah.
None of us really know.
Yeah.
We're just seeing what fits the best with us. So, and then trying to treat others as best we can, right?
Yeah. Why do you think those friends chose to reject you?
Tiffany, the other day, I was watching a TikTok and it was a guy. And maybe this is bad because I know like women have, this is a common thing for women, but when a man said it, it really clicked for me. Not very feminist of me, but it was like, he was like, I have to dumb myself down for people so that I'm palatable to them. I never in my life have ever done that. And I think that's why people don't like me so much. I have always had a really hard time with friendships and making friends, especially in the church and being homeschooled. I've talked about that. But it just kind of hit me of like, I have never backed down. I have never pretended I didn't know something. I've never deferred to somebody else. And I have a bit of an ego because I think I'm a smarty pants. But there's also been like very few people in my life that have been able to challenge me intellectually. BB is a big one. He will still sit down and have 6-hour long discussions with me about anything.
Anything and everything from theology to like,
yeah, politics to bees and farming.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. And the male counterpart to the couple also was very good at having a full-on conversation with me. And I think
he pulled back hard.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to talk to me. That was clear. That she felt threatened for whatever reason, even though they were married, even though he was nothing more than kind of a big brother to me. That got cut off completely. And I remember talking to my mentor about that. But yeah, I think I rub people the wrong way because I have to say stuff. I can't be quiet. You know?
She's not a cookie cutter. She's not she never fit into the mold of a good Christian girl. She didn't look like one, didn't talk like one, because if we're going to talk about theology and it's something that she's studied and knows about, she's going to say it. And I was like, good on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was never, she was always other. And I felt like I can relate to that. She and I were on the same wavelength in being other in that group. And I was tolerated a bit more. Why? I don't know. Maybe, I think it's also because I was older. So I had a footing in the ministry a lot longer than these other people did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think they all looked up to you as a big sister. And then I was the baby of the group. So even those who were looking up to her as a big sister were older than me. Yeah, I came into the group at 16 and it was a college age group. So I technically shouldn't have been there, but my friends have always been older. So I got pulled in
and she stayed.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't feel like people thought it was my place, and I've never cared. I think that's why.
Yeah.
For me.
Probably. Yep.
You have to answer the question now.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be very honest from thinking about it. I think it was because I was that older person and leaving the faith. And some of these people came in a little bit older. They came in like high school and college into the faith. It scared them into, what if I'm wrong in my beliefs? And I'm like, that's your decision.
Yeah.
That is what you need to decide that for yourself, what you're going to believe. That's why I never really, I think I didn't push it with people. But for me, I think it was because I was in so deep and I was teaching. I was a leader. Mr. Cake was very much like, Sarah, you're a leader here. That's what, like, yes, you've aged out, but you're a leader here. So that's why you're here.
Right.
And then that's why he pulled me on to staff. He's like, I want you to be part of staff before he left. But I think it was, they saw somebody that was so deeply rooted in the faith question and make a decision to leave.
Yeah.
And that scared them.
Yeah.
And I think it rocked maybe some of their beliefs.
Yeah.
In it too.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we just put up that mirror and I don't think they all could handle it. So
no.
Yeah, I agree with that. What was the emotional toll of losing these friendships?
It was heavy. I felt very isolated.
Yeah.
And I am a social person I am an introvert with extroverted tendencies. I have my group of people. If I don't have my group of people, I get very insular and very solitary, and I don't want to go out and do things. And so losing that group of people, I was sad for a long time. Yeah. I was mad and I was sad because I was like, these people said they were going to be around for life. But because I decided to change my way of thinking about the world and what I believe, not that I went at them with any of it, it was, I was no longer useful to them or entertaining to them. So bye.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of devastated there for a long time. And I realized that their love was not unconditional. I think you said it in one of our previous episodes. Was like, I learned very quickly that love was was very conditional.
Yeah. Yeah. I think with that group specifically, for me, it was just a relief because I was always trying to get them to like me. I was always trying to please them. I was always trying to get them to see me as worthy. And so when we stopped, it was just like this relief of not having to perform anymore. For my Italian, I was just angry. I was really angry, and I didn't say it to her face, but the second she got into her car, I said it out loud, but she was in her car, so she didn't hear me. I said, all you've done is prove my point on why Christians are bad people. And yeah, so I was angry. Sometimes I'm still angry about it because she didn't have anybody else. And I know that even her husband was like, this is not worth losing a friendship over. And she chose to do that anyway.
Right before D&D too.
Yeah, right before D&D.
Wait up.
It also could have been a text message. Like, she drove out to say it to my face, and I was like, this could have been a freaking text message. Like, so I don't know if she thought she was being the better person by breaking up with me in person, but I would have rather she just texted so I could block her. So I was angry.
Yeah. Tell us about that one friend who remained. What made their response different?
Baby! Yeah. So literally after she drove away, I walked inside to do D&D, and Baby was there, and I told him what happened. And I told her what I said to her and what she said to me and the conversation that we had. And he said, well, you know, you're going to have to answer to God for your actions one day. And I said, yeah, I know. And that belief for me is like kind of changed to now I'm like, I know if I'm wrong, I'm going to have to answer for it. But my response is still the same in that I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. I don't believe that what I'm doing is wrong. So I am totally willing to pay that price if it comes. And that's all that mattered. He said, okay. And yeah, we can still have those theological conversations and there be a friendship at the end of the conversation, no matter how heated it gets, because we get heated with each other sometimes.
Because there is very much a difference of opinion. And he will let you know, I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you don't agree with that. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. We'll be like, okay, we're going to stop at that one. What else?
What else? Next.
Yeah. And so.
But he was always there.
He's never not been there.
Yeah. Never had a shake or a doubt. It was, he would be there every Sunday. We had D&D or whatever day we could play D&D at that point. If he could show up, if he could get off of work or he wasn't working, he was there. Anytime we moved, he was there. If we needed somebody, he was there. He is there.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, he is the only person that I can think of.
Other than our siblings, our brothers. I have a sister. We don't talk about her.
That is still a part of the church or connected to church, that is actually a friend. And honestly, he's family at this point. He was there when we left the church. And he's like,
and he got treated very poorly by everybody too. He got treated like, there's still things that he'll be like, he told me that Mr. Grace hoped that none of the girls in college group would marry him because it would be a shame if any of them married a hick like him. So,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's been treated, even as a Christian and continuing to be a Christian, he has been treated extremely poorly by the church. So it's not just us. It's people inside the building that they're going after too.
And if there's ever a woman that comes around, she will have to meet us.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question about it.
We're the sisters. We're the other sisters.
Exactly. We have to meet her first. And if she can get through us, then we're like, all right, step one is done.
Yes.
Now you can go meet his real sisters.
Yes.
His biological sisters.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I know both of us have been very kind of shaky with coming out to our families about this. I know Sarah's mom has had a lot of issues and has gone back and forth between the comfortability of what she believes. I couldn't get everything out to my parents before they started calling me evil. And so the choice was made that if I couldn't express myself fully, if they told me that I couldn't talk about it, that I had to hide that part of myself. So I said, then we don't need to have a relationship. But as far as like, my oldest brother doesn't live here, and he's very Christian. He's very Christian with his family. Anytime I've gone and visited, I've always admired how it's something he struggles with because of the way we were raised. His faith in knowing that the Bible was used as a tool to hurt us, and actively choosing not to be that way with his own children. I see that in him. And he doesn't always say it in the nicest way, but I know that he loves me and he supports me. And then my little brother is my angel sent from the heavens, who we can sit there and have those long theological discussions and not agree, but continue to challenge each other's thinking, and it not ever end poorly. So I I love that. And I feel bad for his wife sitting there listening to us sometimes because she's just like, I'm lost. What is happening?
I could just remember this a couple of times. Something would happen or something she would read, and she'd be like, she'd just run out and be like, what? You're like playing on this game or something, and you'd just be like, okay, let's talk about it. Or if we're like, how should we answer this? Like, are we right in our thinking?
Yeah, he's very level-headed and I'm not. And so I'll always be like, am I being a bitch? And he'll be like, a little bit. But also, if that person did that to me, I also would not like them. Okay. So, yeah. What about you with your brother?
I still haven't come out to my brother completely. He knows that I don't go to church anymore. I don't believe he knows the extent of my spirituality.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a conversation that will be happening soon, because I do plan to go see him. So it's gonna be one of those, and I'm nervous about it because my big brother was and is one of my biggest proponents, one of my biggest fans, and one of my biggest protectors. I think he takes being my big brother very seriously, and I don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to live in a way that is going to be...
You're gonna disappoint him.
I'm going to disappoint him.
Yeah.
Because my belief system is very different. But I also believe that we can still have a very firm, good relationship and still be family. I also think his wife is going to be a big help on my side, because I told her last year that I was like, yeah, I don't go to church anymore, and I don't believe in a lot of things that the church believes in. And she's like, I don't care. Like, I care what you believe, but I don't care. Like, you're my sister. And I was like, okay, if you can have that thought process, I think my brother will have at least somebody on his side that's ready to go, shut up and listen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
How did they communicate their continued support or friendship? I think we've explained how BB and my brothers have done that. Let's get to the next one.
Skip to the next one. I love sometimes our questions just bleed into the next one.
Yeah.
We get ahead of ourselves. What do you believe was their motivation for staying connected despite the faith difference?
We play D&D.
That's BB for sure.
I think for us, for the three of us being in mega church number 2, we were all we kind of had. The three of us didn't get married. So we were kind of on outs with that whole thing.
We didn't get married by the age of like 18 to 22. So
yeah. We didn't get married, and we are all very like blatantly ourselves. BB is, you can't miss BB. He's a big man, and I mean big man in every form of the word. He grew up on a ranch. He works as an EMS. He likes putting needles in people. He gets excited about veins. I think all of us are just unapologetically ourselves, and we've never treated people or relationships as accessories. And I think a lot of people do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not us. And so when we've had relationships with people, it is a relationship. It is not, you're kind of my friend. Oh, I hang out with this person. It's not, I'm not going to be friends with somebody that I don't think that I can fully invest in.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's just the way all of us are. And I think that's why we stuck it out, because no matter how things change or views change, or me finding who I am as a person and going through 45 different personalities, it has ever been a question of being actual friends.
Yeah. I think it was very much we found the real in each other and ourselves, all three of us. It was very
I think we were just
authentic.
accepting of the person, no matter who they are or they've turned out to be.
And so therefore, you're mine, you say mine.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Unless you pull away. If you want to go, then that's on you. You can go.
Yeah, we will beg you to stay, but it's never. And even if we like don't see each other for months, the second we're together again, it's like nothing changed. It's like all that time didn't go by, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's just, it's special. And so, BB he's there, and he kind of got to meet the rest of our spiritual group of ladies for my graduation party last year, and they all loved him.
They're like, he's so nice and big.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's a big teddy bear.
So
until he's not.
Yeah. And that's just a testament of who he is as a person, that he is truly authentically himself, that you're never going to get a mask, which is what happens in a lot of churches, I think. And he's not afraid to be who he is. So, and me and you aren't either. So I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, especially when they're hiding. But yeah, I think that's why the three of us have always just stuck together. Our interesting little party.
Yes. Our very interesting little party of three. How did you navigate the grief and confusion associated with the losses that we had?
I don't know. It's like been different for every person. It's like a new flavor, and it unlocks a new part. I feel like last year, 2025, was really like me being challenged in how much I still do filter myself and make myself palatable to people, and trying to reject that. So I feel like every relationship loss, every bit of grief it's made me choose to love myself more. And that is extremely painful, but I know it's going to be really rewarding as well. It already is, but it's going to continue being so.
Yeah. I think for me, I no longer am afraid to cut out what no longer serves. If a bridge is burned, I'm sitting there with marshmallows.
Yeah.
At this point, if you don't want to be a part of my life, you don't want to be a part of my table, then bye. You don't need to be, you don't get access to me anymore.
Yeah.
I think being let down with the community that I was supposed to have and the support I was supposed to have, seeing that die in the way it did, I think I'm a little more hesitant to engage in community. But when you find the right community, I think it allowed me to be even more authentically myself.
Yeah.
And being able to say and express the things that I say wild things now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about this. I think the Abrahamic God was fake. He was a war god of a different
Then we go to meditation, and other people are like, I saw a dragon, and the dragon told me. And we're all like, oh.
And I was like, cool. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah. Or connecting with my ancestors again, and just being more open to those things. I think it's made me more protective of my community. And also, I reject the idea of what other people think my community should look like.
Yeah.
Because I've been told, oh, you just need to find a good group of women that pray.
I mean, we did that.
Did that.
They just don't pray your way.
Exactly. And I was like, okay, well, I did it, but it's not what you think. It's not what you think it should look like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm not afraid to burn bridges when it's time.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
What was your understanding of the difference between friendship and community based on shared belief after these experiences?
You can have a community of people that think the same and share the same and not really know those people.
Mm-hmm.
But you can have friendships of people that look different, sound different, believe differently. And those will be the most rich, fulfilling friendships you ever have.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you can grow the most.
Yeah.
And I also think the Christian community, unfortunately, is all just performance-based. It's not real. It's not what real community should be like. Because if you really want to talk about community, it's you call somebody up and you're like, hey, I'm struggling or need help.
And there's pockets of it.
Yeah.
You know, definitely. But as a majority, and it goes back to what she said from the couple of, how do you think you're doing?
Mhm.
Like it's that. If you can't be honest with the people around you within your faith system, if you know you're having to hide or change things because you're going to be judged, then that's not. And I mean, like, okay, if you're beating your kids, you know, and they're like, stop doing that, then yeah, okay, you know, you should be judged. But if your husband's beating you and your kids and you go and say, hey, and they're like, well, he's a Christian, maybe you need to pray for him more. That's probably not the space that you should be in. And that's happening way more than the counterpart to that. So,
yeah.
I just want to say I'm so grateful for the group of people that we've found. Our Sunday morning women's meditation is such a blessing. And I think all of us are very protective of it.
Yes.
But we've noticed the bad seeds tend to weed themselves out pretty quickly. But it's just such a group of loving, supportive people where when there is an issue, we can talk about it.
And cry and let it out authentically.
And just hold each other. And, you know, even when we talk about darker parts of ourselves, when we know our egos have taken over, we can still express that and be like, I know that that was wrong of me, and not have everybody else put you down because of it. And even if that does happen, because sometimes people are struggling with things and you pull something out of them, just the amount of support is so much more insurmountable than any bit of blick that's tossed at you, that I've never left that building feeling like I wasn't more, that I wasn't, how am I saying that my cup wasn't taken from more than it was poured into, ever. And Christians were energy vampires, and my soul was sucked out of me every Sunday and every Wednesday and every Thursday. Yeah, I'm very grateful for the community that we've found.
Because you want to comparison, in Christianity, we were demanded to give everything. In our circle, you give what you can and you take what you need. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in to Just Another Statistic. Each episode, we aim to explore the profound shifts that occur when we bravely step away from inherited beliefs and embrace new spiritual awakenings. This path from Christianity to witchcraft and spirituality is one of constant evolution, marked by unique turning points and deep felt emotions. We believe that every deconstructed, every spiritual discovery is a powerful story waiting to be told. If you've been on a similar path or are just beginning to ask the difficult questions, we invite you to share your personal journey with us. Whether it's a specific moment of realization, a challenge you overcome, or a newfound sense of peace, your story adds vital depth to this conversation. Send us an email at jastatistic@gmail.com or connect with us on social media at Just Another Statistic Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. We're curious about what you're struggling with, what you care about, and how our podcast has inspired you.
Your voice matters. And by sharing it, you help build a vibrant community for those who might feel like outliers or just another statistic. Don't forget to follow our podcast to stay with us on this journey. And if this episode brought you value, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Bye, guys.